Speaking of which, that reminds me. Mute the phone.
Just in case.
Thankfully, that doesn't interrupt other things, but you know. And since we are live, I will. As always, where's the cursor? Okay, recording.
Wrong button.
We are very quiet.
Yes.
So I need to turn us up. That's looking better on me anyway. Speak, if you will.
Squawk, walk, 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 walk. That is low.
I'm bringing it up.
Walk, 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 walk.
That's better.
There we go.
That's mucho better.
Yeah, that's more language from our last review. It sounds like a character from Thundercats.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Burble talk.
I'm going to regret not having my new sound at the end of the last episode because that's kind of how I wanted to end the last episode.
Oh.
Instead, we'll start this episode with it. All right. Do you have a pun for me?
Yes, I do.
We're still waiting on people to show up, but I'm trying
Jason.
to get ahead. Hey, Chase, how's it going? He says, once I get the mouse over here, he says, we sound good.
Good.
So, yeah.
I might shock some of our audience members with, some things about this movie that I will bring up later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will take your word for that one.
All right, good deal. Oh my gosh. But man, oh man, it's only Tuesday. It feels like it should be Thursday.
Tell me about it. I still have 2 episodes to edit.
Right.
Before Friday.
Yeah.
I think I'm quiet on there still.
Yeah, you're
but hey, it'll be fine.
Yeah. You always sit there anyway.
Yeah, I do. I just forget to talk up sometimes.
Yeah.
And I have to pray that Audacity is nice when I do run my little automatic audio fixing stuff.
Yes.
Whatever you call that.
Not be like you hear Jacob the entire time and you're Drew in the background.
There was one day I was scared. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
I'm editing the podcast.
Okay.
I have somehow I get to this point and all of a sudden I realize, man, Jacob is quiet this episode. How did I miss this? I'm just listening to I can't believe Jacob is this quiet. And it was going on long enough. I thought, well, we're going to have to re-record this. This is ridiculous. Or I'm going to have to pull it off something else. And I get to look and thinking, this sounds like it's off my microphone. Don't tell me we didn't turn his microphone on. And then I get to thinking, wait a minute. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. There it is. I accidentally did not copy his audio over when I copied mine.
It was the Drew show. It's the solo cast.
That scared the living. Well, because you know where I caught it? When you were talking about what you'd been watching that week.
Oh, okay.
And I'm listening going, why is he? Because I was looking at the waveform on there,
Yeah.
And I just saw your line. It was just like, whereas I'm going, what is wrong with this thing?
Oh, fun
times.
times.
What was wrong with it? It was only catching what you happened to get over on my microphone.
Exactly.
Chase says, Drew's editing you out of the show, Jacob.
Apparently, it's becoming, the solo cast.
If I was going to do a solo cast, I wouldn't even tell you I was recording
you
it.
Wouldn't do, yeah, you would.
I'd just record it, put it up, and you'll find out later.
Exactly.
When I deemed worthy to tell you.
And be like, you traitor.
Anyway, we probably
I'll start my own podcast called the Other Cellcast.
You would need 3 things. You have one of these things. You do have a computer.
Yes.
You don't have a microphone.
Yeah, which can be easily bought.
And you don't have the internet to upload your episodes.
I can work on that.
You've been working on that for 3 years.
That is true.
And I'd like to say in that time, I upgraded with no trouble, and I was off less than you during that time.
That is true. That is so true.
So you do you, boo.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, are we ready to get started?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, Josh is going to love all this since he's not here yet.
Yeah.
All right. You've got a pun for me?
Yes.
I think I've got a pun for you.
Oh, come on. Come on, Drew, sir.
I do. Okay.
All right.
Starting in.
Oh, okay.
Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. Welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man that, even though it brings me no comfort to introduce him, Jacob.
Yowzer! Jeez. Okay, I'm out of here. Trot, slam.
Okay, joining me now on the Cellcast is my new favorite, is my new co-host, the Lord Chamberlain.
Yes.
Anyway.
Why, thank you. I think. Let me use our co-host, a man who just wishes he had wings.
But I'm not a girl.
I'm.
How she said it.
I know that.
You laugh, but you don't know what description I put on this.
Okay. Oh no.
On our live show, I put Jacob and Drew review the Dark Crystal, even though they don't have wings. I couldn't think of anything else.
Oh, poor Gelfling.
Yeah,
exactly.
How are you doing, Jacob?
Let's see if I don't burst a bubble in my forehead. Burst a vein in my forehead today.
Or burst into flames like your other half just suddenly fell into lava.
Yeah, exactly. I'm too young to live. Die.
You're too young to live. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, the EDD's really coming through today. Anyways,
notice I'm not marking this. This is all staying in.
Yes. I'm doing well. It's been an interesting. It's like I said, pre-show. It's felt like it should be a Thursday, and it's only Tuesday.
I understand that completely.
It's one of those weeks. So, yes, I'm doing swimmingly. How about you?
It's the wrong episode to say you're going swimmingly.
Yes.
This isn't Finding Nemo.
Agreed. We'll get.
But
there.
anyway,
we'll get there.
We'll do that eventually.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, but I'm doing all right. It's like you. It's been a long week, and it's only Tuesday. But yeah.
All right.
It's all good.
All right. Good deal.
So, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? So this actually took me a few minutes to think of. So I think this was Sunday. I was just kind of bored and kind of waiting in between stuff. So I decided to throw on a movie that I've had for a couple of years. Haven't watched in a number of years, called Hard to Kill. Back in 1980, around the same time this movie was made.
Right.
It's a Steven Seagal film. And he plays a cop who is gunned down, but he falls into a coma. His wife is murdered, and his son is allegedly murdered. And so Steven Seagal wakes from his coma 7 years later into a new world of 1990. And it's basically him taking revenge on a senator who discovered he was being recorded by Steven Seagal's character. And it's not a good movie. It's one of those it's a 1980s or 1990s just action schlock movie.
Okay.
And I remember watching it as a kid, really enjoying it, thought it was a really cool story. Now as an adult with retrospect behind us,
with the rose-colored glasses completely thrown off.
Exactly. This is not a good movie. The fact that the director disowned it, Steven Seagal is even disowned it because both the director and the actor didn't like each other.
Huh.
And it was one of those movies that had a lot more depth to it, but due to the 80s craze, be like more action, less talk. So they edited this thing down, so like whittled it down to like just a little lump of cheese, and everybody be like, oh, here's your lump of cheese. You're going to enjoy it. You don't care what kind of content it is. Just enjoy it.
Right.
And it's if you want a dumb, turn your brain off kind of film and watch people get kicked and blown up, that's a film for you.
Okay.
But would I recommend it to anybody? Definitely a younger crowd? No, absolutely not. There's violence, there's language, there's nudity, there's everything under the sun in this movie. And it's an awkward movie. It's really, really awkward. So I would not recommend it to, unless you're just like a 90s junkie, like some of us are.
Right.
That is all I've been watching, as far as I recall.
Well, you may have watched a bad 90s action movie.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a very good early 2020s kung fu movie. It's currently still in theaters.
Yes.
And is the 25th movie in its series.
Yes.
I watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
How was that?
Oh, it was good. It's got, of course, it's Marvel movie elements. So if the formula is starting to drag on you,
yeah,
be advised it is there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a kung fu movie to the nth degree. They even do a shout out to a movie we reviewed earlier this year on a different podcast.
Which one?
The one from January on Retro Rewind Show.
Really?
Yes. There is a poster of Kung Fu Hustle.
Really?
With the woman on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, I watched Shang-Chi. It is a fun movie.
Yeah.
I will suggest, if you want to, the only movie I would even suggest watching if you want to make sure you have most of the backstory.
Yeah.
Even though this is not required in the slightest, go watch Iron Man 3. That way you'll at least understand who one of the characters is.
Yes.
But other than that, you can go watch this movie right now and without having watched any MCU and just enjoy it, because it's just that kind of a fun movie. Now,
okay,
the after credit scenes won't make a lick of sense if you do that, but you know how it goes.
Yes.
Anyway, but that's pretty much all I have watched that I have not already talked about in weeks prior.
I gotcha.
I'm still working on been killing slimes for 3,000 years and maxed out my level. It's a fun show.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, from me.
Yes.
Primarily.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been watching. What do we got in the news?
All right. So I posted to our Instagram account.
You posted to our Instagram account?
Yes.
You remembered your password?
Kind of.
Kind of.
I'm able to link to it.
Okay.
Yes. I will work on that.
Hey, you're in charge of social media. If you can link our page to the Instagram, go right ahead.
All right.
I will not stop you.
All right. So Netflix and Legendary Television announced that Haley Atwell, also known, very much known for Captain America and Mission Impossible 7, as to voice
And what if?
Captain Britain.
Well, she just is called Captain Carter. But anyway,
Captain Carter. Sorry.
for those who don't know, Captain Britain is a different character that she may or may not be playing. More on that when we get to finally releasing our What If episodes.
When we get there.
When we get there.
As,
We're not even on that show anymore. We're still making that reference.
as the voice of the video game adventurer Lara Croft in the upcoming anime series based on the Square Enix Lara Croft global franchise. It's supposed to debut, I think. They haven't given a release date to it. All we know is it's being produced through Netflix. That's it.
Netflix will release it when it's good and ready.
Exactly. So it could be next year. Who knows? All right. So the next one would be a movie. I don't think we even talked about. No, we did talk about it.
We did talk about it, but we did not talk about it during the trailer episode because we had just not much of a teaser even to go off of, so we didn't talk about
that. Is true. That is true. All right. A new trailer for Locksmith Animation's debut feature, Ron's Gone Wrong.
I was thinking you were talking about a different movie, but same difference.
Okay. All right. Uploaded a few days ago for 20th Century Studios, giving the audience an exclusive look at the mayhem to be expounded on this buggy buddy comedy. The movie will open in theaters worldwide on October 22nd. That's all I have in the news.
Really?
What were you thinking?
Nothing about Encanto?
Oh, right.
Because what you posted,
yes,
made me think you didn't actually read the article you linked to.
So what? In my defense, the page wouldn't load.
So what you posted, I'm just going to follow this for preservation purposes.
Okay.
You posted an article that the headline admittedly says Encanto to release on Disney Plus on, was it December 31st or Christmas, I think?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And you posted as the thing on our show, as a comment on our, is like, this is extremely frustrating. I took it the way you thought it was too. Because I didn't get a chance to read it. I saw a different article that came out in the last day or so after your article came out and said, oh, it's going to be releasing on, Christmas Day, 30 days after it's had a theater exclusive run. Because I saw the thing about
that. That's what I also learned later.
I saw the thing where Disney said all of their movies are releasing in theaters exclusively till the end of the year. Thank you. But then I got to thinking about your post. So I went back and I actually posted on there. I put my comment on there that said, this is actually after 30 days of being theater exclusive.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time.
And then I looked at, and then I thought, I wonder. Go up. I didn't actually read Jacob's article. Click.
Technically, it wasn't my article. I just copied it from. I found the article.
Posted.
Yes.
I go, it says here. It will have a 30-day exclusive window in theaters before going to Disney Plus.
Yes.
I don't think Jacob was able to read this article.
No, I wasn't, because the page wouldn't load.
So that has been my week.
Yes. Yeah, put out fires because some guy's saying something wrong. So if anybody read that, it's like
out fires. I was making sure what we were saying was clear, and that I was posting is it a recant? Yeah, it's a recant.
Recant.
I was recanting your message in the comments nobody bothers to read.
Yeah. Currently.
Anyway.
Yes. Anyways.
That's all the news?
That's all the news.
Then we need to get into the spoiler-free section of our review of The Dark Crystal before things go even crazier.
Indeed.
So, this is actually my second viewing of the movie.
Okay.
My first viewing was just a little over 2 years ago, I
think.
In a theater. Let me help you with that.
Frank does it better.
It's not Frank. We'll get to that.
Okay.
We will get to that. But I saw it about 2 years ago. I had seen Labyrinth or part of Labyrinth before that point, but I hadn't had a chance to find this movie at that point in time.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be that Fathom Events was showing it in Longview.
Okay.
So I drove to Longview between church services.
Oh yeah.
That was a long drive for an hour and a half movie. I'm just going to let you know.
I can
I
imagine.
spent more time driving there and back than I did watching the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I watched the movie. I remember enjoying it. I remember thinking this is a little weird, but it's a thinker. It's a little artistic. It's not quite what I expect from Jim Henson, because for the most part from Jim Henson, I expect Muppets.
Yeah.
This is not Muppets. This is not even Fraggle Rock, or what's the other big show he did that was, anyway, doesn't matter. This is
animatronics.
Yeah, this is like, this is, I remember I almost knew nothing about the movie going into it, other than, this is the other non-Muppet movie that got made, that Jim Henson Studios got made, besides Labyrinth. And I went and I was about 3/4 of the way through the movie, and I go, I don't think I've seen any humans yet. Nope, there's no humans in this. Interesting. But I remember I enjoyed it. I had a good time. And then I came home.
Mm-hmm.
This viewing, I was a little more critical since I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Okay, there's some interesting things about this movie.
Yeah,
but
agree.
it's still a very well done movie. I'll put it this way: if for some reason you've seen the sequel series, Age of Resistance, or technically it's a prequel series, but didn't watch this, I'm going to say watch this. If you're like me and you hadn't seen either one, because I still haven't seen Age of Resistance yet, and you are watching, and you want to know if you want to watch this, I say watch this. It is safe for kids to watch.
Yeah,
nothing really bad happens here. It kind of has that Black Cauldron kind of a feel to it, but with puppets.
Yeah, it's basically the 80s Age of Swords and Sorcery kind of movies.
It is interesting. I think kids will watch it. Whether kids will actually stay glued to the television, that's another matter. It depends on your kids. But I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and I highly suggest it.
Nice.
What are your spoiler-free thoughts?
Okay, so the thing I brought up at the very beginning, the top of the show, this is my first time watching this film. And some people are like, what? You've never seen The Dark Crystal? It's like, no, I have never seen this movie before. I had heard about it. I think as a child, seeing little previews to it, this is weird. And like you said, be like, is this puppets? They don't act like puppets.
No, I knew they were puppets.
Yeah,
I just got
they're highly articulated puppets.
We're halfway through the movie. Everything is rubber and felt. No skin whatsoever.
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah, that would have been weird. But I enjoyed the film. It's like Drew said before, it's very artistically driven. It's very odd. It's very weird. Definitely like a lot of films like that came out during this era, during the 80s. And oddly enough, it came out like 12 days before I was born. Oddly enough. In America.
3 years for me. But anyway.
Yeah. So as a child, I think I saw previews to it, like I said before, and thought it was just weird. And I don't think my dad would have ever gone for it. It's like, that just looks weird. But I thought it was enjoyable. It was fun. It's artistic. It's got a lot of really great world building in. I'll get into that later.
So will I.
But it's got these little problems here and there that it just like make you go, arr? And we'll get into those a little bit later on. But is it family friendly? Yes. Is it dark and kind of spooky and just like might scare a kid, maybe. Just maybe. But yes, family friendly altogether. I just don't be like, if you have kids that are like, if it's like scary, like has scary points,
Mhm.
this movie is going to have them, definitely with our antagonist. But
Right.
yeah, so other than that, it's like, yeah, that is my spoiler free talk on this subject.
All right. Well, then join us on the other side of the bumpers, and we will get to spoiling this thing. Don't forget that you can download. Don't forget that you can. Don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, the Cellcast, our Twitch channel, the Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And in our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. This podcast is part of the Culture Box Media Network. For more great content like this, go to the website in the description. There you will find other great shows such as Geek Devotions, which is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. You can find their content specifically at geekdevotions.com. Do you like trivia shows but wish you could stay a little longer with the contestants? Do you wish that if those contestants didn't know the answer from memory, they could Google the answers? Do you love finding out how many certain objects fit between the Earth and the Moon? And do you want a game show that is completely unfair? Then might I suggest the Raw Quiz Show, where Ryan Ashley Wall pits and competes against 5 different combatants each season to see who is the true trivia champion. And you can find it over at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're listening to is also a part of. Go to the link in the description to find out more. Okay, we're stopped for a second.
Toot your own horn there.
I just got to think, it's like, well, I have a champion of season 2.
That is true.
Anyway,
that was too funny.
We've not had much conversation in our chat room.
It's all good,
but that's all fine and dandy. There's only Chase in there, which we are happy Chase is here.
Absolutely.
Surprised Josh hadn't shown up. He must be busy tonight.
Possibly.
Yeah, so I guess we need to go ahead and jump into the rest of it, huh?
I guess so.
Okay. So there's no chat to read. Chase says he's glad to be here.
Well, thank you for being here, Jason.
Anyway, coming back in. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie The Dark Crystal. Listener discretion is advised. If I had my notes up.
Yes.
Okay, so because of how interwoven the crew people and the cast people are, because of the way this movie was made, I'm kind of just, this is going to be a little bit different cast list.
All right.
Just giving you a heads up. Anyway, The Dark Crystal was directed and, let me start that over. Fouled that up. Jim Henson was the director, writer, the performer of both Jin and the High Priest.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Jim Henson, he's the creator of the Muppets.
Yes.
And he's mostly known for being the performer and voice of Kermit the Frog.
Hi-ho.
Jin was voiced by Stephen Garlick. And in something called The Tomorrow People, he played a character named Quan.
Okay.
Jerry Nelson was both the priest. The priest? I'm ahead in my words there. Jerry Nelson was the voice of the High Priest and the Dying Emperor, and he was the performer and voice of Kermit's nephew Robin in the Muppets. Frank Oz was also the director of this movie, along with being the performer of Aughra and the Chamberlain. You know I can't get to that right now. He's also the voice. He's also the performer and voice primarily. Well, he's known as being the performer and voice of Yoda from Star Wars and Miss Piggy. I just love the contrast there.
Yes. I love you, Piggy. Kermit.
That's staying in. Billy Whitelaw was the voice of Aughra, and she played Boyce Cooper in Hot Fuzz.
Okay.
Barry Dennen was the voice of the Chamberlain and the Podlings, and in Fiddler on the Roof, he played Mendel.
All right.
David Odell was the screenplay writer for this movie. And you want to take a guess what 80s movie he also wrote the screenplay for that you have a like of the property?
I don't know. Back to the Future.
Nope.
What?
Masters of the Universe.
Oh, okay.
He wrote the live action screenplay.
Oh, yay. I really love that movie. Not really.
But I saw that on there. It's like, I have to mention the worst adaptation of a cartoon ever made.
Oh, there's worse.
I know, but still, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
Catherine Mullen was the performer for Kira, and she is also the performer for Camilla the Chicken, along with many other chickens on The Muppet Show. Lisa Maxwell was the voice of Kira, and she played a character named Tracy Donovan in Holly Oaks, whatever that is. Dave Goelz was the performer for Fizzgig and the General, and he's the voice and performer of Gonzo the Great. Or sorry, the Great Gonzo, that's how you say his name. Percy Edwards was the voice of Fizzgig, and in Labyrinth, he plays Ambrosius.
Interesting.
Michael Keegarif was the voice of the General, and in the original run of Doctor Who from the 1960s to the 1980s, you know, almost the entire original run, he was the voice of the Cybermen.
Really?
All of the Cybermen.
Wow.
Steve Whitmire, who was the performer and voice of the scientist, vulture dude. I can't think of the name of that race is called right now. Skeksis. The scientist Skeksis. He is the second performer and voice of Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog here.
Brian Meal was the voice of the ornamentalist and the dying master. He was a performer and voice of both. And he was a writer on the Magic School Bus.
Huh. Interesting.
Yes. And getting into our Kingdom Hearts connections, absolutely, positively, none at all.
You couldn't find one shred.
Not even a microscopic link.
Wow.
Every search I did, it came up with zilch, zip, zipola.
Okay, then.
Admittedly, there wasn't music to pull from. It's just generally where it gets me. But anyway.
I got you.
So, info and stuff.
All right. So, info and stuff. You're able to watch this on Amazon Prime Video and YouTube for, I think it's $2.99 and $3.99. Some say it's on Netflix. No, The Dark Crystal Rise of the Resistance is on Netflix.
Yes.
So
I'm actually surprised the actual movie is not on there.
It was on there for a time, but I think it's license lapsed. But either way,
Sony doesn't have a place to play that sort of stuff because they don't have their own service. So
that is true.
Outside of Crackle, not that anyone pays attention to Crackle.
True.
But anyway.
All right. So production was done by ITC Entertainment, Henson Associates, distributed by Associated Film Distribution, Universal Pictures, the United States, and UIP are United Universal Pictures for the UK. Its release date was December 13th, 1982 in New York City, December 7th of the same year throughout the United States, and February 17th for the UK. Its box office, having an estimated budget of $14 million, or $15 million, sorry. It had a opening weekend was kind of abysmal. It had a opening of $4.6 million on the weekend of December 19th. Its gross for the United States and Canada was $41.6 million, and worldwide had the exact same thing. However, had a little bit more. So, yes, it made its budget back.
That's good.
All right, home release. The Dark Crystal was released on VHS, Baymax, and CED.
That's capacitance electronic disc, a precursor to, well, not a precursor. It was actually RCA's attempt to make what Laserdisc ended up being.
Okay.
But because of all the issues that they had getting that made, it actually released after Laserdisc and failed miserably.
All right.
But the Henson group liked to put stuff out on it because they also put out like the Muppet movie out on it and Great Muppet Caper out on it too.
Really?
Yes.
All right. It was released on video in 1983. It was released through HBO Video, release on VHS in 1988. Also with a wide screen release on Laserdisc at the same time. On July 29th, 1994, Jim Henson Video through Disney Buena Vista Home Video re-released the film again on VHS and widescreen Laserdisc on October 5th, 1999, with Columbia TriStar and Jim Henson Home Entertainment giving the film one more VHS release, and for the first time DVD for a collector's edition in November 25th, 2003, and a 25th anniversary edition in 2007. It was also released on what is called UMD, Universal Media Disc,
for the PlayStation Portable.
Yes,
I had.
It's like you're reading my notes.
I just know a lot of these formats are because I have an interest in these things.
Understood. It was released on Blu-ray. That was released on in 2005. It was released on Blu-ray for the first time. Yes. In 2009. Another edition, anniversary edition of Dark Crystal was announced in 2017 with brand new restoration of the original camera negative, and was released on Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray in March of 2018. Prior to its release of a 4K Blu-ray, Fathom also restored the print in the UK United States cinema, February 25th through the 28th in 2018, which I remember you went and watched.
That's the one I went and watched.
Yes. All right. So apparently there was a sequel, but it was never made.
Debatable.
Yeah, debatable.
Technically, neither Frank Oz nor Jim Henson ever said they were intending to make a sequel to this movie.
Yes. But there has been throughout the years a project called The Power of the Dark Crystal that has been in development in Hades for years.
Yes.
Let's see. During the development phase of the Dark Crystal, director Jim Henson and writer David Odell discussed ideas of a possible sequel. Almost 25 years later, Odell and his wife pieced together what Odell could recall of the discussion to draft a script for The Power of the Dark Crystal. They hired a director to produce in 2006. They were going to go through a company called Orphan Animation Studio in California. However, they face considerable delays. The Jim Henson Company announced a numerous significant changes in 2010 in a press release. Is being switched over to another company, and it was getting a new writer. Let me think, and then originally by that point they were going to release it in Stereoscope 3D during a Museum of the Moving Image on September 18th, 2011. Jim Henson's daughter revealed the project was yet again in hiatus. By February 2012, OmniLab Media and the Spurl brothers had parted ways with Jim Henson due to the budgetary restraints. Production on the film has suspended indefinitely. In May 2014, Lisa Henson confirmed the film is still in development, but has yet to be in pre-production. Ultimately, the plans for the feature film were scrapped, and the unproduced screenplay was adapted into a 12-issue comic book series, Power of the Dark Crystal, by Archie Comics and Boom Studios in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, yes. Going into not a sequel, but rather a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So announced in May 2017, the Jim Henson Company, in association with Netflix, would produce a prequel series titled The Dark Crystal, The Age of Resistance. Shooting began in the fall of 2017, and the prequel was written by a bunch of people. The series premiered August 2019. There are 10 seasons and explores the world of the original film, and apparently they are in production of a second season. As far as I
thought the second season was canceled.
Okay, I could be mistaken there.
Admittedly, my information is also rather old, so I could be wrong.
Okay.
I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again.
Agreed. All right, so that's all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. Now, before I start this one, I kind of steal the summary off the plot synopsis on Wikipedia.
Yes.
The plot synopsis on Wikipedia uses terminology found in the novelization, which is used later on in Age of Resistance, to my knowledge.
Yes.
But it's not used in the film we watched. So
okay.
Bear that in mind.
Yes.
1,000 years ago on the planet Thra, two new races appeared when a shard was shattered from the Crystal of Truth. The cruel Skeksis, who use continued corruption of the crystal to extend their lives, and the gentle Uru, more commonly known as Mystics, who make their home in the Valley of Stones to await their destiny. The leader of the Mystics, the Master Ursu, raises a young Gelfling named Jin, whose clan was slaughtered by the Skeksis. As the great conjunction of Thra's three sons draws near, a dying Ursu instructs Jin to fulfill a prophecy to heal the crystal by first retrieving the shard from Agra. As Ursu passes, the Skeksis Emperor Skekso also dies, leaving the position for the leader vacant. The Chamberlain, Skeksel, and the Gartham Master, Skek-Ung, challenge each other in a trial by stone for succession, resulting in Skek-Ung defeating Skeksel. Skeksel is stripped of his robes and banished, while Skek-Ung is proclaimed the new emperor. When the Skeksis learn of Jin's existence, they send their army of giant crab-like Garthim to capture him, with the cunning Skeksel following. Jin meets Agra and enters her orrery, which she uses to predict the heavens, and she explains that the conjunction before having Jin select the correct shard. Before Agra can explain Jin's mission, the Garam arrive and destroy the orrery, taking Agra prisoner as Jin flees. Hearing the call of the crystal, the Mystics leave their valley to return to the Castle of the Crystal. On their journey through a forest swamp, Jin meets Kira, another surviving Gelfling. The two learn most about each other when they accidentally dream fast, sharing each other's memories. They stay for a night with the Podlings who raised Kira, only for them and Kira's pet Fizzgig to flee from the Garthim raid the village. They are nearly caught, but Skexel intervenes, keeping the Garum from pursuing them. Jen and Kira discover a ruined Gefling civilization with ancient writing describing the prophecy. When single shines the triple sun, when what was sundered and undone shall be whole, the two made one by Gelfling hand, or else by none. They are interrupted by Skexel, who reveals the prophecy was the reason for the Gelfling genocide, while trying to trick them into coming with him to the castle. But the Gelflings run off and reach the castle on Landstriders. Intercepting the Garthim that attacked Kira's village, while trying to flee the captured Podlings, Kira, Jen, and Fizzgig descend to the castle's dry moat, revealing Kira has wings, and use the catacombs to gain access. But they are intercepted by Skexel, who attempts to drag them to the other Skeksis while they refuse him further. Jin stabs Skexel's hand with the shard in defiance, which leads to his mystic counterpart, Ursol, to receive a similar wound on his. And Skexel, in a fit of rage, buries Jin in a cave-in and takes Kira. Skexel is reinstated as Chamberlain and gives Kira to the scientist, Skektek, to be drained of her life essence for the Skeksis to drink and regain their youth. Aughra, imprisoned in the scientist's laboratory, tells Kira to call the captive animals for help. They break free in response and free Kira, while causing Skektek to fall down the crystal shaft to his death. At that moment, his mystic counterpart, Urti, vanishes in a burst of flame. Aughra frees herself soon after Kira leaves and before Jen arrives. The three suns begin to align as the Gelflings reunite at the Crystal Chamber, and the Skeksis gather for the ritual that will grant them immortality. When they are discovered and the Garthim attack, Jin leaps onto the crystal but drops the shard. Kira takes it after Fizzgig is thrown down the shaft by Skekung, but is saved by Aughra Shorty. By Aughra, hang on. By Aughra Shorty, whatever that is. But is saved by Aughra shortly after. Kira throws the shard back to Jen and is fatally stabbed by the ritual master Skekzok. The heartbroken Jen plunges the shard into the dark crystal, fulfilling the prophecy. The Garthim disintegrate and the Podling slaves regain their essence, while the dark stone covering the castle crumbles away to reveal a crystalline structure. The Uru arrive and use the crystal to merge themselves and the Skeksis into the beings they once were, the angelic Urskeks. The Urskeks leader explains to Jen that they had mistakenly shattered the crystal 1,000 years ago, splitting them into two races and decimating Thra, and that Jen's courage and Kira's sacrifice have restored them. The Urskeks revive Kira in gratitude and then ascend to a higher level of existence, leaving the crystal of truth to Jen and Kira on the now rejuvenated Thra. That is a lot of tongue-twisting terms.
Yes, I'm so thankful you read it and not me.
Exactly. Getting into the trivia. In February 1978, Jim Henson and his daughter Cheryl found themselves stuck at an airport hotel when Kennedy Airport was struck by a snowstorm. They worked out the details of this movie's world on numerous sheets of hotel notepaper. The notes became inspiration for a screenplay. Working on the movie didn't begin in earnest until 1979 after the completion of The Muppet Movie, which was shot in Los Angeles, California. This movie was shot in England back-to-back with The Great Muppet Caper. Jim Henson's plan with this movie was to get back to the darkness of the original Brothers Grimm fairy tales. He felt that children liked the idea of being scared, and that this was a healthy emotion for them with which to deal. Early drafts of the script featured Jen and Kira traveling through the underworld, where they encountered a race of underground mining creatures. This concept was later integrated into Fraggle Songs, A Musical History of Fraggle Rock. 1983.
Yes.
Pre-production work revolved around Brian Froud's designs, without a finished script. When Froud originally presented Jim Henson with concept drawings for the crystal, Henson seemed perplexed. When Froud asked why, Henson said he had no idea what the designs were for. Froud had misunderstood Henson during early production conversations. Henson intended to call the movie The Dark Chrysalis, referring to the Skeksis' dominance over the world. Henson, however, loved the concept art and integrated the idea of the crystal into the storyline. At the time it was made, it was hailed as the only live-action movie in which a human character makes no appearance, with the exception of some wide shots of the Gelflings. It would have It would have been the first live action movie where no human actors had appeared. This would remain until the live action Lion King movie came out. Yeah, ain't that a downside?
Yes.
Conceptual designer Brian Froud was behind the look and feel of virtually every aspect of production, from creatures and landscapes right down to the font of the opening title. In total, it took up 5 years of his life. The Gartham costumes were so heavy that the performers had to be hung up on a rack every 5 minutes to rest while still in costume. Although there were 9 of them, the Skeksis were originally based on the 7 deadly sins. Skekshod represented avarice, Skexel represented envy, Skekayuk represented gluttony and sloth, Skekekt represented lust, and Skekzok represented pride, and Skekung represented wrath. The 2 outliers were Skekna and Skektek. And I don't know who any of those people are because I don't think of them in these terms. I think Chamberlain,
Yeah.
General, Scientist, the one that thought he was going to be emperor but didn't bother to take part in the trial by stone.
Yes.
The name which Jim Henson came up for the planet on which the movie takes place was Mithra. When some people thought this sounded too much like a Persian god, the name was changed to Nithra and then finally shortened to Thra. Although the name is never mentioned in the movie, it is widely used in subsequent sequel novels as well as the TV series The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. Jim Henson personally trimmed 20 minutes from this movie after a disastrous preview in San Francisco, California. He also ordered many of the character voices redubbed to eliminate some of the invented character languages, making this movie more accessible and the plot easier to follow.
Mhm.
It was Frank Oz's idea for Kira to have a pet, Fizzgig, similar to Miss Piggy's little dog, Fufu, who at this time had recently been added to The Muppet Show, 1976. Jim Henson's only reluctantly agreed because he did not like repeating himself. The little hairy things that crawl across and that the creatures eat are modified wind-up toy robots that run like crazy on 2 legs as a round rolling central body that houses the wind-up motor. The wind-up key was removable. Originally, the Skeksis and Mystics were supposed to speak in their own alien language, the Skeksis version being a more crude version of the Mystic language, and Dave Odell developed words for the actors to speak on set. Ultimately, the only word in the Skeksis language that remains in the movie is Hakshika, meaning judgment by stone. After the first test screening, British science fiction writer Alan Gardner was brought in to write an opening narration for this movie, and Odell had to translate his Skeksis dialogue back into English, all the while making sure the lines matched the creature's mouth movements on screen. Jim Henson's brief to designer Brian Froud for the Skeksis was that they should... I now know what it's saying. Jim Henson's brief to designer Brian Froud for the Skeksis was that they should resemble crocodiles living in a castle, which is ironic because they look like vultures.
Agreed.
The novelization by A.C.H. Smith features several scenes in which the Skeksis are accompanied by a choir of podling slaves singing for them. This slave choir can be seen in the background during the opening scene, though they are not heard. In the TV series Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, a group of podling musicians can be seen playing an organ for the Skeksis at their request. Last but not least, the Skeksis creatures were later reused as the Halosians in Farscape: Out of Their Minds from 2000.
Really?
Yes. And that brings me to the end of the trivia. So, Jacob, I suspect I know what your first one is, but I'll let you say what your first like of this movie is.
The world building.
I had a feeling because that's my number one also.
Yeah, the world building in this movie is fantastic. When you're writing it, if you ever try to attempt writing a world, because they're always saying, be like, yeah, you can write characters all day long, but you need to create a world. And Henson and like the entire team does an amazing job. You have this grand understanding of what this world is, who the people are, the creatures on this world, the like everything in this world is probably not everything is playing down to a T, but there's so much detail in every little nook and cranny, and it's a wonder they never did a sequel. I mean, obviously, I went through. There was a sequel possibly in production, but it was never fully realized.
Apparently, plenty of novels.
Yeah, apparently plenty of novels, but just the overarching creativity of this world and the lush ideas and concepts they come up with, like, you know, this is Jim Henson we're talking about, so we have creature effects beyond the wazoo, and there's so much of this incredible world building and creature design and everything, to the relation between the Skeksis and the Mystics is just incredible. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's a lot more detail than I expected. I'd be like, there's a certain show that's currently out, and it's new. It's a newer series, and they just revealed a villain from the first season that came out in 1993, and the explanation to why this villain is back is, oh, we resurrected him from the age when he was the darkest. That's the only explanation they give.
What show is this?
Power Rangers, Dino
Oh.
Fury. I had to bring that up, and it was like, really? That's the worst excuse I have ever heard.
I'm guessing they found a way to bring back Lord Zed, even though he'd been turned good.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently they.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Power Rangers.
Yes.
B, at least they put that much work into it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually good for them.
Yeah.
Most of the time they just give one line and that's it.
Yeah, apparently that's like one line. It's like, oh, we reincarnated him at they brought him back from his worst ever, and I'm like, that makes no sense.
Time travel.
Yeah, even though they don't explain
from before the Z wave.
Apparently,
we're getting off topic.
Yes, we are. I thought it'd be an interesting little something to bring up at some point, but either way, the fact to be like the world of the Dark Crystal is so tremendously dense and lush, just full of detail, and I absolutely just love it. It's just like, this is so cool. Definitely for someone who wants to create their own world and more like comic book world, but yeah, it's really inspirational. It's like, wow, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of really great detail, and I love it.
So yeah, the world building is my first like also, because good night is there a ton of it.
Yes.
Like we said, there is not a single human on set. Well, they're on set, but I mean, they're not in shot.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
They are, I mean, so to come up with this entire alien world, the logic, it's all behind it, and to the point where you don't even question what is happening. You might question some characters' intelligence, but you don't question what you're being told about all this, because it makes sense. Okay, they killed all the Gelflings because a prophecy told them the Gelflings were going to cause everything to come back. Okay, I agree with that. What's the other good thing Gelflings were? Well, we can drain them of their essence and turn them into slaves, and that'll give us a lot better use than these podlings are giving us. You know what? I can understand that.
Yeah.
You kind of hoisted yourself up by your own petard there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even down to the fact that female Gelflings have wings. And that should be obvious to everybody. More on that later.
Yes.
Is one of the oddest lines in this movie.
Yes, agreed.
You have Kira. What? You have wings? Of course. I don't have wings. That's because you're not a girl. Sure. I'll go with that. But I mean, the logic behind all this stuff, even though they don't explain a whole lot. You can
Yeah.
tell they know what's going on. They know
Yeah.
why all this stuff's happening. At least the
Yeah.
writers do.
Yeah.
So there's never a point in there where I feel like, well, a lot of times in world building, you can suspend your disbelief up to a certain point. Most people will kind of forget a couple things and you're just supposed to accept it. There's not that in this movie.
Yeah.
The entire world is like, you can logically follow it. Maybe it's just because I've only watched it twice and not put a whole lot of extra thought into it. But I can't think of any hole in the world building to any of this. Because anything that's like, because I mean, at the beginning they say, you know, there these two species appeared when the crystal shattered, and I remember thinking at first, okay, where'd they come from if they didn't show up till the crystal shattered? By the end of the movie, oh, okay, that's the closest thing to a plot hole, and they don't even touch it on it until the very end of the movie, and then you get that last scene, and they're and the I know they call them the Gelflings. It's not what they're called.
No,
that's a different race. The Skeksis are being forcibly backed into their mystic counterparts. It's like, oh, I kind of caught this when Chamberlain got stabbed and the Mystic got the same injury, and when the others Skeksis fell into the lava and poof, just random. I remember thinking that is a random thing to happen.
Yeah.
There's a connection.
Yeah.
Like they have the same soul
or something.
They're the same being, but split between two bodies. I follow this. This is making some sense. It makes sense. Oh, at the very end, they recombine into the same thing, much like the shard turning recombining with the crystal. I still don't know what the crystal is.
Yeah.
But I don't need to know. It's the MacGuffin of the story.
That is true.
And I'm sure if I go back and watch Age of Resistance, I might find out what that's about.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's one of those mysteries that we'll retain, but I don't really care that they don't tell me what it is, because it's like, this is just the thing. This is the world building is so good that I don't even question that kind of a logic, because it's just like, yeah, that's just how things are.
Yeah.
So yeah, the world building is definitely my first like in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
What's your second like?
My second like would be I'm a sucker for dogs.
There's not a dog in this movie.
Well, there is kind of a dog.
That's not a dog. It's a Tribble with eyes.
With a lot of teeth.
Yes. Well, Tribble probably have teeth. But anyway.
I just like this character. Kira's pet companion. What is his name?
Fizgig.
Fizgig.
I'm surprised he had his own voice actor.
Yes.
Like, good night. You predated Alan Tudyk by a lot.
But Fizgig would be like, he's not a dog, but he acts like a dog.
He's essentially a dog.
He's essentially a dog.
In the same way that Gelflings are essentially humans, except
that is true.
Our women don't have wings.
That is true.
Shame, actually.
Yeah. True. But hey, some women are angelic.
Moving on.
But either Fizgig, I just love this character because, like, the first time you see him, he scares you to death because he's like Nan's best friend, but he's
Gelfling's best friend.
He's Gelfling's best friend, but he doesn't really like our main character at first.
Well,
he doesn't like anybody except Kira for the first.
He is the
guard dog.
He's the guardian.
No,
he's keeping Kira safe.
Yes.
He has to get used to you before he's like jumping all over you and licking you in the face.
Or in his case, mauling your face off.
That too.
With that just no.
Hey, he didn't maul Aughra when she picked him up out of the
That
the
is
tube,
true. Oh my gosh.
Tube.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But Fizgig is just like, he's just this really, really cool character design. The point where Kira and what is our main character's name again? Jen, thank you. Are going to leave, and is like Kara's like, no, Fizgig, just stay here. He's like, just makes a hissy fit about it. It's like, okay, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious to me. And I was like, oh, okay, you can come, and just boop. It's It's like, okay, that's
Mhm.
funny. So yeah, Fizzgig is just like he's not number one dog, obviously, because he's not a dog, but just like little companion, like companion, like really, really cool. Even though he doesn't do a lot, it's just like animatronic character wise, really cool. Just like his personality, even though he doesn't have
I
like,
think he's animatronic. I think he's a hand puppet.
yeah, you're right. He's probably a hand puppet.
He's more than likely a hand puppet.
Yeah, he's just like just dragged around. But I just really enjoy the character. So yeah, Fizzgig.
All right. My number 2 is the design of the planetarium device in
Oh, yeah.
Augra's lab, for lack of a better
Yes.
term.
Mm-hmm.
That thing had to have taken them forever to build and make work, because even if it's not motorized,
Yeah.
even if it's someone, them turning it somewhere off screen, like a crank or something,
Yeah.
there's a lot of machinery that had to go in to make all of that work and never hit each other.
That is true.
And that is probably the most impressive thing to me in the entire movie,
Mm-hmm.
is this big giant machine that moves with such precision. I mean, admittedly, there's not a whole lot of movement, but there's still a lot of movement on it also. It just amazes me how precise that is.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Cool.
What's your third like?
My third like, it's kind of funny. I know we've talked about this previously. The death of the emperor.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that originally it was spoken in a different language.
Yes.
And so Jim Henson had a rewrite done for it actually to have a intelligible English dialogue. And for some reason, I find now understanding that better. I actually find all the dialogue in very funny. Definitely when the emperor finally kicks the bucket. It's like, I am still your emperor.
Which strangely sounds like Gonzo.
It does sound
Except it's not the same guy.
It does sound like Gonzo, like you said before, like previously. It's like, no wonder they wouldn't have gone.
It sounds like first season Gonzo is what it sounds like, but
Okay.
I can't even find. I in the short amount of time I did
Research.
Thank you. I could not find who the first voice of Gonzo was, because I know there was a change partway through that, and it could have been him, because they change stuff all the time. I mean, Frank Oz wasn't the first voice of Miss Piggy either.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, the first couple episodes of Miss Piggy in it, she's got kind of a more deeper, haughty voice.
Oh, so it's not like
Not that she's more diva-ish.
Oh, more diva-ish. Even more diva?
Yes. More of a different kind of diva.
Gotcha.
It's not the high-pitched, and I can't even do it, Miss Piggy. That's the problem. I just went straight into my Mickey Mouse. This doesn't work. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Hey. That's Alpha 5. Moving on. Boy, I did not expect to go into Power Rangers this week.
Anyway.
Okay, I gotta mark that at least.
Oh, come on, leave it in.
Well, I'll leave it in, but
Yes.
maybe I gotta mark it to make sure the truncate
Yes.
works. The truncate silence works. And plus, taking out all this part where I say, I gotta make sure the truncate silence works.
That is true. Oh my gosh. But the fact that now knowing that this was originally a different language and they had to go back and make it where the lip flap works with the language. I just found that hilarious.
We will get into more of that in a minute.
Minus the one character, his little I'm halfway expecting you to do it anyway. Push the button.
I wasn't following. I'm sorry. Not even on that screen.
Oh, come on. Yes, exactly. Because that's a part of the original audio.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you hear in this movie. It's like, besides the it's like, and like you said before, we'll get to that later, but oh my gosh, it's like, whoa, okay. And it's like they're putting this audio with this, the lip flap, and I just find it really funny now. Definitely
Yeah.
with the Emperor, like the first Emperor kicks the bucket. I thought that was hilarious.
I'm still the Emperor. It's like, boy, there's a fun last word.
Yeah.
I, Gonzo, am still the Emperor. I'm sorry, it sounds like Gonzo's voice.
It does.
Anyway.
Yes, that's my third like is the understanding this was the Skeksis were dubbed over from their original
The Mystics, I think, technically were too.
Yeah,
but
they were. It's just, there was a lot of reworks, but it's just I find it incredibly funny that the amount of work that it was really great. I just find it kind of funny. So that's my number 3.
My third like. My third like is the Podlings.
So the potatoes.
Yes, the potato people.
Yes.
Or as we call them in Final Fantasy XIV, Lalafell. Anyway, well, really we call the Lalafell potatoes, but anyway, these are very much definitely just the generic peasants of this world.
Yes, they are.
But at the same time, I look at them and go, boy, you things have had a hard life, and you just kind of let everyone roll over on top of you, don't you? They are the extras anytime they need an extra on screen, but I think they work for that. And I swear I have seen those character designs for the Podlings in something else.
All right.
But I can't place where that is. So I like the use of them. It at least gave this world a feeling that there was more than just Skeksis Mystics and 2 Gelflings.
Yeah.
Which is the primary cast.
Agreed.
Even though the Podlings never speak one letter of English.
That is true.
But yeah. And plus, those were the most Muppety of all of the characters.
Agreed.
You get to that party that they had, right before the giant Beetleborgs attack.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, this looks like a scene out of the Muppet Show.
It does.
Look, there's even a guy up there playing banjo, and he kind of looks like Jim Henson, just like on the Muppet Show. But so yeah, I appreciate that. It tickled that Muppet bone.
I got you.
That's in me, so I appreciate it.
I got you.
Sounded bad, but anyway, we should get into our dislikes.
All right. So before we get that, we've kind of thrown a theme in here for some reason. I don't know why, but okay. So back to action. So what is our dislikes?
This movie is more phenomenal.
Or puppet nominal.
Oh, and if I could remember what the other word Billy used all the time was, which also Izzy from Digimon used. Prodigious.
It was very prodigious.
Anyway, my first dislike of this film, if you don't mind me getting into it.
Go for it.
I hate the stilted dialogue in this film for most of this film.
Yes.
And I know why it's there. And it was one of the things where I listened to it and I couldn't tell what it was at first. Because it's like, it felt like there was something off about it. It wasn't natural talking. And it took until I was reading the trivia on it when I was doing my research for the episode that I finally realized why the dialogue in some places, especially around the Skeksis, sounded so weird and so stilted. And that's because it was a dub.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be in a whole other language, and you were supposed to pay attention to it, but you didn't need to understand what was being said.
It was supposed to be implied.
It was supposed to be implied. Problem is, that requires people to pay attention to your movie, and kids even more so. And I can see how especially during the very beginning of this movie, how that would be a bit, shall we say, tough for some children of our
Yes.
age. Because you got to remember, this is our generation that would have
Yes.
grown up on this.
Agreed.
And yeah, there's just not a lot happening in the beginning of this movie for kids to really grasp onto and really get attached to before they're bored and off playing with their toys in the other room.
Agreed.
Especially when you don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
And especially that opening scene, because apparently the narration wasn't there in the beginning either. It was just, can you imagine walking in, watching this movie, and you hear nothing in that intro, but you're still staring at all these people staring into purple light, staring into the crystal. You're going, what is going on?
And there's not
It's weird.
There's no English. There's
nothing. There's no sound.
Yeah.
And then it strangely goes to these other creatures who are also, there's no narration over this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing them doing all this mystical movement stuff, Eastern religion sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one just goes, oh. It's like, Mommy, I'm frightened.
What's going on? And the Skeksis was like,
and then the first audio
yes,
you hear is. It's like, and then you still don't get any lines in English.
No,
because you know that the next line in English, which is the general saying, I hate your whining, it's going to go, it's like, or something like that. This is very bad Klingon.
Very bad Klingon. Wash your mouth out with soap, man. Come on.
That was a Klingon curse.
Okay.
You know what it was?
What?
Your mother has a smooth forehead.
Ouch. That's an insult.
For the Klingons, yes.
Yes.
Anyway, probably for Skeksis also, for being honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though there's not much gender between the Skeksis. But anyway.
Yeah.
Or the Mystics, for that matter.
That's true.
But, I mean, the fact that they went in and redubbed this is not the bad part. It's the fact that they did not think of it ahead of time.
No.
That, who is this movie being made for? What do they need to understand what's going on in the movie?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to handhold it, but you have to admit, going into a kid's movie and having either no dialogue or almost no dialogue and almost no real movement is a very risky thing.
Agreed.
And I can only think of one movie that really pulled it off. And it was a Pixar movie. WALL-E.
Really?
First half of the hour movie, there's virtually, it's just WALL-E. It's the only character in the movie.
Yeah.
He beeps every once in a while, but he's kind of humming to himself or talking to his little cricket friend, but it's still in, robot beeps.
Yeah.
The only English you actually hear in the movie is from when he's watching old movies.
Okay.
Back when he's back at his little charging station.
Yeah.
And for the first half hour of the movie, that's all there is. It's the only movie I can think that did it period.
Yeah.
And did it successfully. So I have to wonder, and that one, you still have a lot of movement. You still have a lot of things going on.
Right.
This, you don't have that much going on before the Emperor dies.
That
which is
true.
really what sets the story off.
Right.
And that's at least a good 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine myself without that narration at the very least going, I don't know what's going on. Everything is weird. And but admittedly, it would make me pay attention to what's going on. And I can maybe understand kind of what's happening, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know why they're staring, why this one group is staring at a crystal, and this other group is yelling, is making loud hums to the world. And then you see the Gelfling. It's like, well, hello, Frodo. How are you?
Which the Gelfling is completely naked in that scene.
Yes.
I was like, Henson, what in the world?
The first time you see the character, oh hi, I'm bathing.
Yeah.
But I'm not just bathing. I'm reaching down into the river beneath me, and I'm about to pull up my pipe, but you don't know that's what it is.
Apparently, Henson.
I thought too much about that scene. I'll admit.
Yes, apparently. So apparently, Jim Henson just thought it like loves
He was making an art piece.
Yeah, it's an art piece.
He bought into this concept of we'll make this big artistic movie. I have nothing against artistic movies. Do not get me wrong.
Right.
But he had I think he got tunnel vision on this passion project of his and hadn't made the connection of how this is going to look until the first test audience. And at that point, all he could do to fix the film was redub the lines. It's like, and do your best to have the dialogue match mouth movements that are matching words that are not in the English pattern. Rhythm is the word I'm looking for. And I think that's where the problem lies.
Okay.
And I don't like that about the way the dialogue is handled in those scenes where it's obvious the scene had to be redubbed into English.
Yeah. Completely agree.
So yeah, that's my first dislike. What's your first dislike?
My first dislike would be, I want to call them wise men, but they're not wise men.
The Mystics?
The Mystics, thank you. The Mystics leader, who is Jin's, adopted father.
Mm-hmm. I suspect he was actually speaking in English in the original.
I would presume so, because he's talking with Jin.
Yeah.
This guy is a terrible, yes, I understand you are on your deathbed, but tell the kid something he needs to know and to be like, oh, go follow this person, go find this person to the third son. That's all you gotta do.
Well, he admitted he should have told him all this stuff sooner.
Yes, agreed.
But he didn't because I assume the character was afraid of a person he viewed as his son growing up too fast.
Yeah.
I can understand that. But at the same time, he's the one who's going to have to do this, and he's recognized it's too late, and he doesn't have a whole lot of time to tell him.
Yeah.
Which is why he has to keep stopping Jen from actually asking the only questions that Jen
exactly
that were going to make sense.
Yes, agreed. And just oh my gosh, there are so many things. It's like, I understand it's more be like the hero's quest. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But it's just more, apparently a deleted scene, one of the other followers of the Mystics was tells Jin everything he needs to know. Everything. You need to find the dark crystal. You need to find the shard. Go here. She'll have this crystal.
Which, if that scene was deleted, the fact that, well, we'll get into that in my second dislike.
Yes. There's be okay, dude, I understand you're this wise mystic and you're of the earth and you're of humming and kumbaya and everything, but you could have told the kid something other than go find
go find Agra.
Go find Agra
after following the third son for a day.
Yeah.
Or whatever the actual line was.
Yeah.
She will tell you what to do.
Yeah. And apparently Agra has no idea what to do either.
Agra doesn't even know who Jen is. She's surprised that a Gelfling showed up. So she doesn't even know the prophecy.
No, she doesn't.
So it's like, why are we going here to talk to her?
She knows nothing.
She just knows, one of these crystals is the shard.
Oh, no. It's not that. It's more like, oh, you want crystal? Here, crystal.
Here's crystals. Shh. Which one is it? You'll have to choose.
It's like, I don't know. No crystal, no knots. It's like,
you know what? If it were me, I'd open up that little knapsack he was carrying in, and I just start shoving crystals and says, I'll figure it out when I get there, because I don't have time to figure it out now. You're even saying, you don't have time to choose. Pick one. It's like, pressure much?
Just a little bit. But yeah, it's like Jin is just, he's this poor little kid, which I'll get to him in a little bit. Oh my gosh.
I have a feeling our number twos are going to be the same.
Probably. Oh my gosh. But yeah, this kid is literally thrust into the world. He's a Luke Skywalker, but Luke Skywalker has a little more information than Jin does.
Luke Skywalker at least knew save the princess.
Yeah.
From first find someone named Obi-Wan. And then Obi-Wan knew enough to tell him, we need to go save this princess.
Yes.
And then the princess says, we need to go to Yavin 4 so you can go be the hero and go blow up the Death Star with the plans hidden in this R2 unit.
Mm-hmm.
There is a logical flight plan through all that, even if Luke didn't know what the entire process was.
Yeah.
in this one, you've got one guy who knows more than he's telling you to go to an old woman who knows nothing
Thing. Yeah.
except I have the crystal. I don't know what to do with it or what you're supposed to do with it, but I got the crystal. He says, well, now where am I supposed to go? Oh, crud. How about away from the giant Beetleborgs?
Very true. So it's
And all of a sudden, oh, look, a gal.
yeah, again.
It's like, well, where should we go? How about we go eat with my people? Okay, we'll go do that. It's like, okay, what are we supposed to do from here, guys? We don't know.
Oh. And
We're
they stumble
oh,
across the prophecy.
Oh no, the Beetleborgs are back. Get on the giant long-legged animals and run for your lives. And all of a sudden, oh look, we have accidentally found the home of the Gelflings. There's the prophecy. What do we gotta do? We gotta go to the Dark Crystal. What's a good thing? It's just right there. What if it had been on the other side of the world and you'd been going the wrong direction for days? Awfully convenient.
Yes, looks slightly off convenient.
And admittedly, it sounds like I'm bashing this part of the story. It doesn't bother me while I'm watching.
Right.
I'm just having fun with this.
Right. But yeah, it's just like Jin is lost. He is one lost Gelfling. And it's like he's like
Well,
he's sent on the journey, be like you're part of the prophecy. He doesn't tell him the prophecy. It's not like Luke's uncle who's afraid to tell him about Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
It's just more like, oh, I should have told you this sooner, but now I'm dying and I don't spit it out.
And I don't have time to say, you need to heal the Dark Crystal.
So-
What's the Dark Crystal? You'll know when you get there. He doesn't even know about the Dark Crystal.
No, he doesn't.
Until the prophecy. He just knows he's supposed to get this crystal shard. And then what?
Yeah, that's it. It's just
most
be like, oh, go find the shard.
For
That's it.
3/4 of the movie, he doesn't even know what the shard is for. He doesn't even know that it is a Dark Crystal.
No.
We know it because it's in the first couple seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
While the Skeksis are doing their ritual to make themselves young,
Yeah.
their emperor lies dying. It gives no comfort. What the crap is it? Anyway.
So yes, my first dislike is like, yes, Jin is lost as a Gelfling duck.
Well, we've sashayed into my second dislike.
Go for it.
Because Jin is an idiot.
Agree, he is an idiot.
And I don't mean it's like he wasn't given enough information.
Right.
Even though he wasn't.
True.
But even his thinking process is like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Or that line I said earlier. Wait a minute, you have wings. Well, of course I've got wings. Well, I don't have wings. That's because you're not a girl. It's like, okay, sexual dimorphism. Moving on.
Yes.
It's like, you don't need wings. And then the one that bugs me the most, he's climbing Aughra's hill.
Yes.
For lack of a better term.
Oh, Aughra. Like.
And you've got the voice actor going, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't even know if I'm going in the right direction. What if Aughra's going to eat me? Why would she eat a Gelfling? What makes you... I know you're acting out of fear and you're nervous and you don't know what's going on and you're completely lost, but you just shut up. Just go to go up to her lab and knock on the door. You'll find out what's happening.
He likes to complain.
Yes, he loves to complain. And
He
he doesn't stop he won't even stop complaining when Kira's around him. It's just, oh, we're floating along in a boat, and all of a sudden it's like, guys, you're being chased. I recognize the boat's only going to go so fast, but you might want to get a move on.
Yeah.
You might not want to,
Because
I
you
don't
know
know,
you're being
signal
pursued.
your position for the enemy to find.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing. It's not like he doesn't know. They just got raided by the big bad Beetleborgs twice. Yes,
Oh my
I
gosh.
just keep bringing up one of the
Yes.
worst shows Saban actually made, which is saying something.
Yes, that is so true. Oh my gosh. Okay. My number 2 kind of follows that exact same turn. How did the big bad Beetleborgs know where Jen is? It's like they pop up just everywhere. Where, like, one, they
First off, despite the, I'll say this. This
Okay.
is my assumption. Despite the fact we only ever see 3 of them
yeah,
total, I'm guessing there's a lot more that they didn't have enough costumes for, and they kind of just, you know, carpet bombed every village within a 5-mile radius.
probably
Or 10-mile, 50-mile radius, we'll
Yeah.
say. I suspect that's what happened.
right.
And when they found the first one, well, they probably sent the first one to Grizzler because,
yeah,
hey, she's the ancient mystic from when all this happened. I bet she knows where all this is, so we'll go bomb her place. Well, we know a Gelfling was spotted there. So somewhere between the castle and Auger's place, maybe more Gelflings. Send all the giant big bad Beetleborgs down this line. Because obviously they have to be here. Why do they own? My bigger question is, why don't we see more of them chasing them all the time?
that is true.
Because there's only one corridor they could probably be going down.
That is true.
Especially towards the Gelfling village ruins.
That is true.
Which we never see the big bad Beetleborgs there, I don't believe.
No, we don't.
But anyway.
Yes.
Some logical inconsistencies.
Yes, agreed. It was just more.
Once again, you don't think of these things while you're watching the movie.
No, you don't.
We're thinking of these things because we have to come up with dislikes.
Yes. It was just more like when I'm watching this, it's like, okay, is Jim playing his flute the entire time? Is he drawing the big bad Beetleborgs to him the entire time? If so, be like, Jin, drop the flute.
I said that earlier. And actually, while we're on the subject of the flute, my third dislike.
All right.
The poorly done animatronics of Jen playing the flute. I don't know who designed the animatronics for this, but they should have at least gone and talked to the Walt Disney Corporation. Because I'm fairly certain at this time, their animatronics were a lot better than this. I mean, you're not even animating Jen's head during the scene.
No, you're not.
You can tell he's got a board up the armhole of the puppet. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's something they're holding him upright, and they've got this little, and you have this very robotic. It's like big movements, and they're fast. It's like those are obviously hydraulics. No biological hand moves that fast in those sharp movements.
Yes, exactly.
Or has the shuddering start as it goes. It's like animatronic hydraulics. Come on, people. Good night. This is only 10 years out from Jurassic Park. You think the animatronics were getting better at this point?
Well, at that point, they were like, this was like state of the art at the time.
Yes, but I'm saying these are not as state of the art as they could have been.
That's debatable, but I understand your point. I understand your point.
Great Muppet Caper. Some of those Muppets,
yeah,
especially I think during the bike scene.
Okay,
I'm fairly certain used animatronics.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I see your point now.
If they can do it while on moving bicycles,
yeah, agreed. Get you.
And a couple other locations where but there's also part of me that has to wonder, okay, why do you even if you take out the fact that they got to hold the body up straight because you probably can't fit 3 people under there for him to do the flute.
Yeah.
Why don't you have the little marionette arms coming up and then having maybe something else inside twisting that will move the fingers up and down?
Yeah.
Where it's more natural and not so robotic. That's the part that annoys me.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's the thing that popped out at me, but at the same time, while watching the movie, it's like, was what it was. Moving on.
Agreed. So my third and final dislike of this film would be, okay, so you have all these very expressive characters.
Mm-hmm.
You have and I'm drawing a blank. I hate that.
You're drawing a blank?
Yes, I'm drawing a blank. I'm literally drawing a blank character on a piece of paper. No.
Well, as an artist, you have the capabilities of physically drawing a blank.
That is true. Yeah, click. Nothing in chamber. Darn it.
Sorry.
No, but you have like your main antagonist, the what are they called again?
Skeksis.
Skeksis. The Skeksis,
The Mystics.
the Mystics, and all the
Gelflings and the Podlings and Big Bad Beetleborgs, because I don't remember their actual
Yes.
name.
okay, so
Girithim.
Girithim. So you have all these characters who have very like nice expressions and the great movement and everything, except for the Gelfling. I mean, like I understand, be like you're dealing primarily these are like puppets,
Yes.
and they're dolls, and you can definitely tell they're dolls because their face, because they don't move
These
except for their
are-
eyebrows,
these
their
are-
eyes, and they blink.
The Gelflings are probably the worst of the constructed puppets.
Yes.
I would say probably that Jim Henson ever made. Not because they're badly made, but
No.
because the designs that they came up with them required such small faces, but they're still trying to hit that human.
Yeah,
movement, 'cause
exactly.
They're supposed to essentially be this world's humans. is
Yeah,
what I
they're
gather.
like a halfling.
The only other puppet I can think of that has the same problem is the Spirit of Christmas Past in Muppet Christmas Carol, because of how human they tried to make that one. It's
Agreed.
got kind of the same problem, but
Yeah.
because they didn't use they use a slightly more advanced form of the puppet baby face the Muppets use sometimes.
Yeah.
But in this one, you've got this much more it's not a fat face, it's a skinny face. So you only have like so much room to get your fingers up in there
Exactly.
to operate it. And so you can't put much other stuff in there to animate all this other stuff.
Even Jim Henson had a problem with that.
Oh yeah, I can imagine he did.
Yeah, because it'd be like he's trying to get his he's a very large hand man,
Mhm.
and he's trying to get his hand to itty bitty little head.
Yeah,
And so it'd be like you
and-
have all this limited animation.
and
in
your
the
first
face.
thought is the Skeksis would have the same problem,
Yeah.
because they have such a skinny head. But you got to remember that they have a long beak,
Mhm.
so they can kind of get up there and get a better hold of it. And plus, the head is generally a larger size than
Mhm.
the Gelflings is. The Gelfling head is very small in
Exactly.
comparison to a person's hand.
Yeah.
So they probably had a hard enough time getting in there, and probably could just barely do any emoting with
Yeah, exactly.
with the hands than what they could. And I'm sure they use some miniature animatronics in some of those, but even that, even if it's remote controlled, is still going to be awkward.
Yeah. So
You
it's
just don't have enough room in there to get enough of the visual gadgetry to make that work.
Mhm. Yeah, it's more their facial expression is very limited, and definitely how they like as a puppet, the Gelflings are very stiff, like very stiff, and so that's like it's a very much a complaint. It's not a
It would be a different story if the Gelflings had more meat in their design.
yeah.
But these are very elf-like creatures,
Mm-hmm.
and of the old style kind of fairy-ish elves,
Mhm.
not the Tolkien elves,
Yeah.
obviously. So they don't have much to work with. In fact, it might have been easier, I think, maybe to have animated them strictly as marionettes instead of having the puppets. But then you couldn't get the mouth movements as good as one would
Very
like.
true.
So I don't know. I don't really know if there's a good answer to this other than redesign the puppets so that they're bigger.
Yeah.
But then they would be out of proportion with
Everything
everything
else.
else.
And you have to
So,
redesign everything else.
There's not actually a good answer to that question.
No, there's not. Now, granted, be like there's like just purely aesthetics, but like, they look good.
Yeah.
It's just the mechanics of them. It's just
It's
like so rigid and just stiff.
Yeah.
And it was unless you get the like the running scenes where Jin is running, and obviously it's a
person
small
in a suit.
it's a small person in a suit.
I think it was Deep Roy.
Deep Roy.
Deep Roy. I think
Okay.
he's in the cast list
Oh,
as
okay.
a additional performer.
Okay.
I think it had to have been him. He's
Okay.
the one who played all the Oompa Loompas in the Charlie and the Chocolate
Factory.
Factory. That and he's on Star Trek 2009 as the
That's right.
Cabbage Head.
Yeah,
guy.
cabbage head guy. Yeah.
Can't remember that that thing's name.
Get down, yeah.
Yeah,
Like a
him,
bean. Eat like a bean.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
But
yeah, it's
I think that they had a lot of people in there, but Deep Roy was one of the people. Deep Roy had been about the right size, even though he's not skinny enough, even then.
Yeah.
But they could have had somebody else in that suit too.
you never know. It was just the Gelfling, aesthetically design was great. Just functionally was just maybe they had a limitation of what they could do. Like they had a small character, but they couldn't make him any larger, or obviously both characters. But it just functionally it was aggravating watching these characters move.
This is actually something that makes me want to jump into Age of Resistance a little faster in case there are Gelflings in that, because it's still the same puppetry.
Yeah.
It's still Henson Associates doing all of it.
Yeah.
And are not, it's actually Jim Henson Productions now.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if there are Gelflings in that show, if they are done differently, or maybe just because of the way things have changed now, if maybe they can actually put animatronic parts in there so they can operate the mouths by remote.
Yeah.
Which make it work smoother. I don't know. But then I don't know if there's any Gelflings in the show, because I've intentionally not paid attention to it until I get a chance to sit down and watch the show.
Yeah. Yep. That's my third.
All right. Which brings us to the end of this episode. Which means we need to talk about, we need to rate this one. I'm giving it an 8. Believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know it sounds like throughout all 3 of my dislikes that I just hated this movie, but I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. I still would suggest people watch this. Most of the dislikes I came up with the exception of the stilted dialogue, I had to think about after the fact. I had to put some thought into it. Like, well, what really didn't work in this movie? Because during the course of this movie, my second and third just did not hit me.
Yeah.
But except for maybe a little bit of the robotic movement. But in this, even the stiltedness of the dialogue, I watch dubbed anime all the time. This is not that much worse.
Yeah, agreed.
In reality. So it doesn't really bug me. It's just something that stood out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely giving this an 8.
I'm going with a 7.5. There again, that's not a bad score for this film. Be like, it's an excellent film. Creativity is out just like stratosphere. World building, character design, everything in this movie. Definitely for a Jim Henson production film from 1982 is amazing. There's just so many little big bad Beetleborg problems with the movie. It's just annoying as can be. And don't get me wrong, it's a great film. It's just got, like I said, big bad Beetleborg problems.
Yeah.
And would I go back and watch this? Yes, maybe a later date. Would I recommend it? Yes. I
would love to see the original cut of this movie with the
oh, it's interesting. Let's say that.
I know it's on the Blu-ray. I need to go check, or at least parts of it are on the Blu-ray. I don't think it's actually, you can't actually watch it.
No, it's like
but you can see the scenes as they originally were.
The funeral scene is completely there.
I do want to go back and watch that.
But,
that would be curious. So that brings us to the end of the episode. So we need to talk about our next episode.
Yes.
Hang on. I meant to check something and I didn't.
Whoops.
If I can get the...
Come back here, cursor.
And it goes over there. Back over here. Thank you. Yeah, that.
Exactly. So what are you looking for?
Looney Tunes.
Oh, Looney Virus.
Yes, Looney Virus. But I don't think I called it that in the folder. I don't remember what I called it. I know it's in here because I brought it up once.
Riveting entertainment.
Looney Tunes shorts. That's what I called it. So we did Duck Amuck. We did do Duck Dodgers. No, we didn't. Hang on.
No, we haven't done Duck Dodgers.
We recorded an episode on it. I don't know if we released it, is the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we released What's Opera Doc, Duck Amuck, One Froggy Evening, and I Love to Sing. We have not released
Duck
Dodgers or Chow Hound. I'll release Duck Dodgers.
There we go.
Okay, so
it's very appropriate. Coming back.
So our next episode, because I'm going to be out of town, we're going to be releasing one of our final Looney Virus episodes that we recorded in case lockdown had to occur, which thankfully has not happened.
Amen to that.
And the next time this comes out, we're going to be releasing Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century.
Oh, father.
Winnie the Pooh is not in that.
I was trying to do it. That's right.
I know you were trying to do Eager Young Space Cadet, aka Porky Pig.
Yeah.
But he does. That would be like, oh dear,
Oh
or
dear.
something like that. Anyway, but after that,
Yes.
we are going to review
Something about hot
about
dogs.
well, I'll give you a hint. You know already, but I've been streaming me playing through this character's games for the past couple weeks.
Yes.
At least some of them, and I just started his technically newest release, even though it's an HD remake of a previous game they put out.
Yes.
We are going to be reviewing last year's
Mm-hmm.
pre-COVID blockbuster, Sonic
the
the
Hedgehog.
So get your chili dogs, and we'll enjoy this thing.
Go pick up those rings.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
Same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at ggeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at ggeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast,
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Heron, where we talk about live action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L. And we're out. That was a fun episode.
That was, and we're done in record time.
Yeah, we're actually doing a good time. So we do have a couple of things that popped up in our chat. So PaulJPowers.com is apparently at Disneyland this week.
Jealous, very jealous.
And he was saying hello from Disneyland. I replied back during the show, howdy, Paul. How is the land of Francisco's hate? He has not replied yet. And then Chase says, actually, you need to consider the time in which this movie was made. And a lot of the things that appear awkward now weren't that awkward then.
Agreed.
I agree with you to a point.
Yes.
And the point is this was still a movie for kids.
Yes. And it was the 80s, and the 80s were very like dark and gritty. And
I admit that. It's just I think the scene would have gone on too long in the original version. So I actually prefer the dubbed version. So yeah. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the whole live stream, to be honest.
nice.
So yeah, we will not be here next week.
Yes.
You will still get your Duck Dodgers episode that Saturday. I am out of town. But we will be back 2 weeks from today for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
So join us for that.
Yep.
Anyway,
Enjoy.
I think we made a boo-boo.
What would that be?
Did we actually sign out correctly?
No, we didn't. Whoops.
In the meantime, this has been Drew,
This is Jacob.
and we'll catch you in the next frame. Look, I don't want to end that yet because I need to just find someone to raid.
Yes, you do.
For the one person I think that's still in our Twitch. Yes. And then I'll kill it. But yeah, thanks guys for joining us. We had a good time. If I would hit the buttons correctly.
Yes.
Create a dashboard. Raid. Who we got? Gate Devotions is already off. I think. Yeah, it looks like they are. So yeah, I don't know who I'm going to raid. I think I might just drop it into Retro's backlog stream for now. But anyway, thanks for joining us, guys, and we will talk at y'all later.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Once it goes.
Yeah. Launch, darn you.
Boom. Boom.